this tutorial I'm going to show you how to make a wrapped loop. So with a wrapped loop, slightly different from your open loop, this is wrapped all the way down and is completely enclosed. So you can't open and close a wrapped loop like you can an open loop, but they're a very secure way of securing a bead onto a piece of wire or onto a head pin, as in this case. As you can see, I've just added this to an earring, but again, it could be a charm on a necklace or a bracelet, or anything else that you want a wrap loop for. So you could do a wrap loop on either end for like a rosary link, say. So we're going to need a head pin, and you're going to need a gemstone of your choice. You're also going to need, oops, not going to stay there, I'll hold it. Come here, gemstone. You're going to need your cutters, your round nose and your chain nose pliers. Okay, I'll meet you back here when I've got everything set up. So I've got my gemstone on my wire. Now, where this differs from the open loop, we're going to use quite a lot of this wire to make our wrap loop, because not only are we making the loop, but we're also wrapping down the stem till it meets the bead to secure the bead in place. So I'm going to start by using my round nose pliers. Okay, and again, I'm going to place these in about 3-4 mil away from the end, slightly smaller than with an open loop. And what I'm going to do is, my pliers are now horizontal. I'm going to push the wire over the top of my horizontal pliers to create that 45-degree bend. I'm now going to release the pliers and lift them vertically. So I've now got a mandrel or a jaw of my pliers to wrap around. So bringing this end of the wire over the top till it can't go anymore, and I've come to the plier side, the handle side of that wire. Okay, so I can't go any further because these pliers are now in the way. So I'm going to release my grip again, and I'm going to lift my pliers till they're now vertical again. I'm making sure that it's in the same place, and you can see now that we've got this kind of shape. I'm now going to close the loop off. So I'm going to bring the wire behind the bead and up against the jaw of the pliers, and now I'm going to just make sure that everything's nice and straight, nothing's out of place, making sure that's nice and straight. And my wire is now coming out. Let's get you to focus. My wire is now coming out. I'm just going to zoom out a little bit so you can see. It's now coming out behind the bead, and you can see that I've got my loop made. Okay, so this is the shape of the size of my loop. So this will now not change. So if you're not happy with the shape or the size of your loop, this is where you're now going to change that. So I'm quite happy with the size of my loop. Now you've got two options. You can either keep your round nose pliers in that loop to keep the shape and size as you wrap around, or you can take your chain nose pliers and clamp them down over the top of the loop so that nothing's going to move. And I like to put my loop so that it's now facing horizontal. Taking hold of the end of the piece of wire, we're now going to wrap around. Now you can, if you want to, you can take another pair of pliers, chain nose or flat nose pliers. We're now going to wrap this around, making sure that each wrap is next to the wrap previously until we get all the way down to the bead. So I'm just going to spin that around till it's now there, and then I'm going to take my chain nose pliers I'm holding this with, and I'm just going to make sure that everything is nice and straight. And I do like to just go in and just pinch that last loop around, just to make sure that there is absolutely no gap between the bead and the wraps. So again, just take your time, making sure that they're nice and neat. So I've now got my loop and my wraps. Taking my cutters, I can now trim away this end piece of wire again using the back of my cutters next to my wrap, so I get a nice flat cut. Take that little piece away, and then just taking my chain nose pliers lastly just to nip in that last little bit of wire, and there we've got our wrapped loop, which is wrapped all the way down to the bead, so the bead can't come away. It's in there, it's nice and secure, and all you need to do now is either take in a jump ring, or if you're using it for an earring finding, opening the earring finding at the bottom, so earring findings open like the open loop that we did previously on a different video. They open just here, so you can open that up with your chain nose or your flat nose pliers, opening it up, and now you can remove the bead. And then to close it, exactly the same, pushing it downwards to create that closed loop. And there you've got your wrapped loop element.